Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Yod Het Amud Aleph. New Perek. Kohen Gadol Dan v'daninoto. Kohen Gadol can judge and be judged. Ma'id ma'idinoto. He can testify and people can testify against him. Harletz. If his brother passes away without children, he can't marry the sister-in-law if they don't have children, but he can perform halitza, which is the way of basically saying no, thank you. And if he passes without children, people could do halitza to his wife. People can marry, and his brother can marry his wife. But he can't perform yibum. He can't marry his sister-in-law because he can't marry a widow. Met lo met, if a relative of the Kohen Gadol passes away, he can't follow after the coffin in the procession directly behind it. Rather, he has to always be around the bend, that he's not directly seeing the coffin in the procession. And he only goes to the entrance of the city. David Meir says no. Anyone says Mikdash, you cannot leave the Beit Mikdash. Mishum Shemar Pasuk says, "Umin Hamikdash lo yitzeh." You can't leave. When the Kohen Gadol is being Menachem Avil, people pass in front of the mourners one after another. The assistant Kohen Gadol puts himself between the Kohen Gadol and the other people. So it's Kohen Gadol in the middle, the assistant on the right, and the people on the left. When people are comforting the Kohen Gadol for his loss, the people tell him, "We are your kapara." What that means? And he tells them, "May be blessed from Hashem." When they have the Sa'udah for the mourner, everybody sits on the ground. He sits on a small bench out of respect that he's not sitting on the floor. Hamelech, king, lo dan lo ninato. You cannot judge him, and he won't be judged. Lo ma'id lo ma'idinoto. He can't testify, and he can't be testified against. Lo haletz v'lo haltzin li'ishto. He cannot do chalitza to his sister-in-law, and nobody can do chalitza to his wife in the event he dies. Lo mi'abim v'lo mi'abim li'ishto. He can't do yibum, and no one can do yibum to his wife. Ridam just says no. Lo if he wants to do yibum or chalitza, faddal. Amrullah. Achmin told him no. We can't listen to him. He doesn't have the right. You can't marry the king's widow. Rabbi Damir says, whoa, no, one king can marry the widow of another king. We found David married the widow of Shaul. We see from here, Hashem gave David the wife of Shaul. So we see the widow of a king can marry the next king. Now the Gemara says, Kohen Gadol Dan. The Kohen Gadol could be a judge. Please, why not? Why would you think not? Then he's not. The Gemara says, we want to teach you the second halakha. Danin oto esrichle. We need to teach you that he could be judged. That's so obvious. Why would you think not? It says, because if he can't judge, you can't judge. If he can't judge him, he can't judge others. As the pasuk says, famous line, very applicable line to people. First, fix yourself before you fix others. And therefore, the Kohen Gadol can't judge others. If he wasn't able to be judged, he can't judge others. It says, so what's the reason why we have the Mishnah? It says, since we wanted to keep Mishnah parallel with similar language, since we have to write by the king, he can't judge or be judged, we wrote that the Kohen Gadol can be. Okay. People have a different answer. How come Mashon Hidush is Kiratanya, right? As the following writes out. Kohen Gadol Shaharag the Nefesh. Kohen Gadol kills someone. B'mezid neherag. If he killed on purpose, he is killed. B'sholre goleh. If he kills by accident, he goes to Galut. He goes to Erim Miklat, as the halacha is. V'over al aseh v'alot aseh. He's over on either a aseh or alot aseh. What kind that means? V'harehu kid l'chol rav. Also explain what it means. That means he's like a regular guy. Now the Gemara says, the Kohen Gadol the prayer says if he kills on purpose, he gets killed. Shita, of course. Why would it not be? The Gemara says, because we're going to teach you the second half. That even if he killed by accident, he goes to Galut. Now, in general, a person who goes to Galut goes to Erim Miklat, he has to wait for the Kohen Gadol to die. So now we're talking about the Kohen Gadol himself. So therefore, if he kills by accident, he also goes to Galut. The Gemara says, of course, why would you do that? The Gemara says, no. As you might think, the Pasuk says, the Pasuk says, someone killed by accident has to stay there until he dies, the Kohen Gadol dies. Maybe you might think that only a person who's eligible to leave through the death of the Kohen Gadol goes to Galut, but a person cannot go, like the Kohen Gadol himself. He should not go to Galut at all because he can't get out. As Mishnah says, it's not Mishnah says. If someone kills the Kohen Gadol by mistake, oh, Kohen Gadol Sharak the Nevish, or Kohen Gadol kills by accident, and he said Mishum Lam, he can't leave. Maybe he should not go to Gadol because he cannot leave. Kamashwan, therefore we say he does go. Maybe who says maybe person Kohen Gadol shouldn't have to go to like Galut. The Gemara says Makra Lanus Shama Kol Rotzeah. The pasuk says any guy who kills will go there. Even Afila Kohen Gadol Mashma, even Kohen Gadol will go. Okay. Over a lot. He said he's over a positive mitzvah and a negative mitzvah. But what's going on? Lo sagid lo avar. What do you mean? He has to be over. What's going on over here? The Gemara says Hachi Kamar. It says as follows: Im avar. Allah said, if the Kohen Gadol either did a positive or negative commandment that is chayav for something in general, not chayav mitah, not to get killed, he's treated like a regular guy that he gets a judgment of 3 and not 71. Of course. You might think that our Mishnah says that the Kohen Gadol and others have to be judged with 71, but as Rabbi said, also we had before, called the Gadol the Rosh Gadol, a pasuk is referring to a great person that the Kohen should be judged. You might think that anything that has to do with the Kohen Gadol, even let's say monetary case in 71, no, only death penalty is 71 judges, but regular cases are 3. Who says maybe he needs 71 for the $100 he borrows. Gemara says, Miktiv divrei hagadol, doesn't say all the matters of the great person. Hadavar hagadol ktiv, it says the matter of the great person. Davar gadol mashas tomat, really big things like the Kohen Gadol and capital cases. So we see from here that it's teaching you that in non-capital cases, the Kohen Gadol is judged by 3 people. Now, Ma'id, the Kohen Gadol can testify and people can testify against him. Ma'id, can the Kohen Gadol testify? But it says, Pasuk teaches us by Hashavat Aveda that if you find something, you can and you shouldn't hide. That sounds like meaning you can't say, "Oh, I don't see it. I don't want the mitzvah to return it. I don't want the responsibility." So the Gemara says, however, sometimes they are allowed to hide. Sometimes you can hide. Okay, so what does that mean? The Kohen is in see something in the cemetery. He should hide himself. He should move on. He can't get it. He can't come to it. Zaken ba'ino lefikadov. The person's a tzaddik, a victim necham, and he can't pick up this item. It's not respectful for his kavod. Or if his work that he has to go do is worth more than what the is worth more than what the actual item costs. All these cases, you're allowed to hide your eyes. You're allowed to move on. We see from here that the person is patur from mitzvah that's beneath his kavod. So over here, the Kohen Gadol should also be patur from testifying if it's beneath his kavod. The Gemara says, "I'm going to say, he's testifying for a king." The Gemara says, "What do you mean? A king can't be judged. What are you testifying for him for?" The Gemara says, He's testifying for the son of a king. The Gemara says, Ben Melech son of a king, a prince. He's a regular guy. Why would that make a difference in testimony? The Gemara says, he's testifying in front of the king. The Gemara says, what do you mean? The king can't testify. The king can't be a judge in Sanhedrin. So when is he testifying in front of the king? The Gemara says, no. We're saying no, really the king's son is the one being judged. The king, now since the Kohen Gadol has the testimony, whatever he saw, he wants to testify. What we do is we bring the king inside just to give the Kohen Gadol kavod to testify. The Kohen Gadol testifies, and then the king leaves. Okay, Kufa. A king cannot be put on Sanhedrin, and a king or a Kohen Gadol cannot be part of making the month long, making the year longer. The reason why a king can't become Sanhedrin because you should not respond to an argument. What does that mean? Lo al rav. Don't respond to a master, meaning you can't answer back to someone greater than you. Therefore, if you put the king in top of this, you put a king in Sanhedrin, no one's going to argue against it. Why can't the king be part of extending the year in the leap year? Because he might say, you know what, if I have an extra month to pay my army, they don't pay by month, they pay by the year. So it's splitting the wages by another whole month. Therefore, he's biased. Kohen Gadol is also biased because he might not want to extend the year because he doesn't want Yom Kippur to be cold. The later the year is, the colder Yom Kippur is when he has to do all the avodah, and therefore he's also biased. You see how careful we are. Bias doesn't apply to doesn't apply to only regular people. It applies to even a king and a kohen gadol. Amar Papa. We see from here. We go after the weather follows the year follows the weather in the year follows the weather. Let's backtrack. The weather of a year follows the months placement. Nagmar says, any that's true. Vahanach, yani however the year that plays out, seemingly that's how the year, however the year plays out with the months, that's how the weather will be. Nagmar says, any that's so. Vahanach shoshara evakar zahabakam. There's three regular sheep shepherds that were standing and they were schmoozing. B'shemin the run of the Quran and Hamim overheard what they're saying. Halamar in bakir l'lakish kahada yanes. If the ground is warm, that the wheat and the barley will grow at the same time, and the barley was planted much later. Then hu Adar, that means it's Adar this year. Ve'im but it's not. Let Adar, it will be Shevat, the month before Adar, because it's not warm enough. The other guy said, if the ox almost dies in the morning from cold, but in the afternoon it's so warm that the ox will sleep in the under the shade of a tree, and he'll rub himself against the tree because he's so hot. Then it's Adar. If not, it'll be Shavat. The third one said, if the east wind is so strong, that when your cheeks blow, your breath will go out against it, meaning the cold, it's so cold outside that when you blow, will be warm. You will warm the air outside. Right nowadays, you have now we know that that's what the air that you see when you blow out of your mouth. Then who that's how you know it's Adar still. Maybe not, but if it's not, that's not Adar yet. Then Hachamim extended that year, seemingly seeing that the Hachamim listened to what these shepherds were saying and decided that it wasn't. It was that weather just looked like more like Shivat, and therefore they extended the year based off of the weather pattern. So Gemara says, how does that make sense? Gemara says, no. Do you really answer? Gemara says, no. What are you talking about? Do you think the Chachamim are listening to what the shepherds, they care what the shepherds think? Really, the Chachamim made their own calculations. And they said that, you know what, we have to do an A board. We have to extend the year. I say, I said, let me tell you when it was a coincidence the shepherds were right. Okay, next part of Mishnah. The Kohen Gadol can do Chalitza and Chalitza can do his wife, but they can't do Yibum. Kapasuk that we thought Lo Shnami Narisin Lo Shnami Nisuin. Doesn't make a difference whether it was his brother's wife when she was when he died, whether or not she was just Erusin, that's before living together, or after Nisuin, after they started living together. Based on Nisuin, since he can't do it after Nisuin because since the brother lived with his wife, therefore she's a bit older, she's no longer a virgin, and a Kohen Gadol can only marry a virgin, positive commandment. Also a negative commandment that you can't marry a widow. And therefore, since it's double, in Aseh of Yibum, the positive commandment of Yibum doesn't overcome the positive and negative commandment. But if it's only Erusin, where therefore they did not live together yet as husband and wife, therefore she is a bitula, she is a virgin. Maybe the positive commandment of doing Yibum should overcome the negative commandment, and therefore you should be able to marry her. Gemara says the reason why we don't let it is because the first time that the Kohen Gadol would live with her would allow him because that would be allowed because they Yibum. However, after that, the second time, we're worried that if he lives with her once, he'll live with her more than once, and therefore that Isur will not be lifted twice. She'll stay Asur to him as a widow, and that's why we don't let him even the first time. Tanani also says in Kadmu Galu if a Kohen Gadol does live with the widow from Erusin the first time, Kanu he acquires her. It's a good acquisition in marriage. But he can't live with her anymore. Okay. Met Lomedet, the Kohen Gadol loses someone, he has to follow them, but he can't see the body. Says he should not leave, he can't leave with the funeral. But he can still go after that. He has to always be around the bend that he can't see the coffin. He goes them to the entrance of the town. Rabbi says no, you can't leave the Bet Hamikdash because of the pasuk. Gemara says Shapir Kamar Rabbi. Rabbi sounds like he has a good pasuk. It tells you can't leave the Bet Hamikdash. How do you go against that? Gemara says Amar Meir says no. If you can't leave the Bet Hamikdash, how can the Kohen Gadol go home? And we know he goes home. What does the pasuk teach you? Min Hamikdash lo yiseh mikdusha tol. You can't leave your kedusha. Don't become tameh. And therefore, we are afraid that if he follows the funeral procession, he becomes tameh. Mary says, therefore says, you want to follow the funeral procession, no problem, but don't be in sight to keep your tahara, because if you're following the funeral procession directly, he might come touch the coffin and become tameh. Rabbi says, how come, why not? He's still worried. He's worried that the Kohen Gadol, out of grief and crying, he might still catch up and touch the coffin, not realizing it, and therefore he doesn't want to leave the Beit HaMikdash at all.